candidates finding you, it finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter.
More rain is expected in drought-stricken areas of the South. ABC's Jeff Smith says it follows last night's volatile storms over Texas, packed with isolated tornadoes and high winds.
This will turn into showers and heavy thunderstorms over portions of the Deep South and the Southeast. Over parched areas, this is actually good news. Upwards of 1 to 2, perhaps even localized amounts up to 3 inches of rain, where the drought has been the worst over parts of Georgia.
In the West, states including Nevada and Las Vegas and Reno and also California's Palm Springs, it's all about the heat. Those areas could see record-breaking temperatures this week. One of the biggest pop stars in the world targeting Samsung in a new lawsuit.
Dua Lipa says Samsung is selling TVs using her image without her permission. The photo in question was taken at a music festival in 2024 and is displayed on the boxes for certain Samsung televisions. Lawyers for the 3-time Grammy winner say they repeatedly asked Samsung to stop using the image, but the company was dismissive and callous. Now they're suing Samsung for infringing on Dua Lipa's copyright and trademark rights and are asking for $15 million. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Samsung says it won't comment on the ongoing litigation. New research says recess for school kids isn't just fun, it's necessary. The American Academy of Pediatrics updated its policy saying unstructured time is critical and crucial for academic success as well as mental, physical, and social development. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is the News Radio KONP Noon Report.
It's outdoor time from the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Monday, May 11th. Candidate filing week has wrapped up, and several races affecting Clallam County voters are headed for contested primaries this summer. The biggest ballot crowding is in the 24th Legislative District and the Clallam County PUD Commissioner race, where more than 2 candidates have filed in those races, meaning only the top 2 vote-getters in August will advance to the general election. In the race for state representative position 1, incumbent Democrat Adam Birnbaum will face Republican Eric Pratt, independent Ted Bowen, and Republican Aidan Hamilton, as well as Democrat Bradley Nemo Calloway. In position 2, that race to replace retiring Representative Steve Theringer also crowded. Democrat Patrick DePoe, Democrat Kaylee Keene, Democrat Mark Hodgson, and no party preference candidate Marcia Kelbon have all filed for the seat. The race for Clallam County PUD Commissioner District 2 may be one of the most competitive local contests on the ballot. 5 candidates have filed for that board position. Timothy Dalton, Missy Baker, Rick Pascal, Randy Brackett, and John Jack Smith. That field will also be narrowed to 2 candidates in the August primary. At the federal level, incumbent Democrat Emily Randall drew 4 challengers in the 6th congressional district race. Republicans Teresa Fox and Leon Lawson, independent Brian P. O'Gorman, and Democrat Macy Jones. Several county races will go straight to the November ballot with just 2 candidates filing. Those include the Clallam County Assessor's race between Lee Hancock and Antonio Price, County Auditor with Shuna Riggs and Virginia Sjogren, County Commissioner District 3 with Mike French and Jake Seegers, and District Court 1 Judge Alex Shadowski and Patrick Murphy. Other county offices uncontested. Sheriff, Treasurer, Prosecuting Attorney, Director of Community Development, and District Court 2 Judge. All the incumbents filing and no challengers. The primary election set for August 4th. Now with a look at some things that happened over the past few days, here's Sandy Keys with his weekend wrap-up.
Normal traffic stop patterns disappeared over the weekend with unheard-of statistics that left our heads spinning. This past weekend, with Squim's huge gathering of Irrigation Festival attendees from everywhere, Squim and not Port Angeles had the big number of traffic stops Friday, with 16 drivers invited to pull over. In Port Angeles, just 1 known stop. However, on Saturday, Port Angeles regained the lead with an exciting 3 known traffic stops. Squim had only 2. That makes just 5 stops. But the weekend's total was 14. How did that happen? Well, the West End was bristling with traffic activity such as that area might never have seen before. There was an unheard of 3 traffic stops in Tiny Beaver alone, 3 more stops in Forks, and 5 traffic stops in downtown La Push. Elsewhere, in spite of it being a festive weekend, not everybody participated. Some were busy performing assaults. The first at 3:30 Friday afternoon on West Washington Squim. The others were in Port Angeles on West 1st and another that afternoon on East 1st. Officers dealt with 5 disturbance complaints, and fire departments dealt with, among other calls, a brush fire at 101 and Deer Park Road and a car fire at Colonel's Way. There was a threatened suicide in Port Angeles, and authorities completed an unusual 4 routine death investigations. We had 4 known vehicle accidents, no DUIs, but 1 minor in possession in Squim, 3:30 Saturday afternoon on East Washington. Squim police, assisted by officers loaned from other agencies, were well able to assure the security and enjoyment of festival attendees, and still participated in the 33 weekend traffic stops, 13 welfare checks, and 13 building checks. And finally, a timely reminder, the use of fireworks here is severely restricted, evidenced by the season's first fireworks violation, possibly with an arrest and fine, Friday evening on North Blake Avenue Square. Sandy Keys, KONP Local News.
Hello, this is Katie McCormick with Squim Valley and Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapels. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a new, exciting, and environmentally friendly development in the funeral industry. It's called natural organic reduction, or terramation. Perhaps you've heard of it. Terramation is a process in which the body, after death, is returned to the earth in a carbon-neutral, eco-friendly manner. The process takes place in a controlled environment, and all that remains is a natural, odorless, compost-like material. If you would like more information about terramation and advanced planning, call us today at Harper Ridgeview in Port Angeles or Squim Valley Chapel in Squim, and one of our knowledgeable and caring funeral professionals will assist you in answering your questions. Harper Ridgeview and Squim Valley Funeral Chapels, because your loved ones deserve the best.
Pick a day in May and head our way. This is Dale from Wilder Auto, and I would like to invite you to stop by and check out our new selection of Wilder certified used. Trade-ins make the best used cars, and we've got a great, fresh selection of cars, trucks, SUVs, and vans to choose from. Plus, every vehicle we sell includes the Wilder Advantage, which means lower cost of ownership and peace of mind. So come check us out at 24/7 at wilderauto.com.
In other news, a 21-year-old Forks man has been sentenced for domestic violence charges against his former girlfriend. Anthony Beglinger was sentenced to 30 months in prison for burglary, first degree, and unlawful imprisonment, both of which were acts of domestic violence, following a guilty plea to the charges. Court records show that Beglinger, in violation of a protection order, went to the home of his ex-girlfriend, kicked in her door, and assaulted her. After the assault, he tried to restrain her from leaving the property by blocking the driveway with his vehicle and kicking her vehicle windows. Now, after he's released from prison, he will be on community custody for 18 months and will be required to comply with substance abuse treatment and take a domestic violence course. There's also a lifetime no-contact order between Beglinger and his ex-girlfriend. Washington Department of Natural Resources warning of a looming budget shortfall tied to declining timber revenue, raising concerns about potential cuts to agency operations and impacts on counties and schools that rely on logging income. Industry groups and labor unions blame an 8-month pause on timber sales ordered by Public Lands Commissioner Dave Upthegrove, while the agency reviewed protections for older forests. Upthegrove disputes the claim, saying the problem's more about delays in when logging companies harvest trees and pay the state. The department says more than $20 million in timber sale revenue has not yet been collected because purchasers can wait years before actually cutting the trees. This is News Radio KONP.
Welcome to Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood, PA Realty. This is Alan Barnard, and this Volunteer Spotlight shines on Peninsula Friends of Animals, a cageless, no-kill, donor-supported animal welfare organization servicing our community since 2000. Their mission is to prevent the birth of unwanted cats and dogs through spay and neuter low-cost clinics and to place as many homeless animals as possible into safe, loving homes. Their dedicated volunteers handle a wide range of roles, including cleaning, socializing, office help, transport, and more. Also coming up on May 16th is their annual fundraising event, a truly possum night. For this event information or to volunteer, please call them at 360-452-0414 extension 3 or email them at pfoa@olipan.com. Sponsored by Jim Hagwood, Port Angeles Realty.
In 1983, Tom and Ida McEwen opened All Weather Heating and Cooling. Their vision for a family-owned and operated business with personalized customer service made them the #1 choice for your heating and cooling needs. In 2014, their daughter Janae and her business partner Dustin Halverson purchased All Weather. In preserving Tom and Ida's vision, customer service is still top priority and your only local authorized carrier dealer. All Weather Heating and Cooling, because everyone calls us.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 63. Northeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 48 tonight, partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 70 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid-60s Wednesday with a slight chance for rain. Turning cooler Thursday with highs in the upper 50s. Showers continue. A peek at the extended shows, 57 Friday, 57 Saturday, and 60 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, 57.
The 2 seed finds itself in a best of 3. Good morning, I'm Jay Reynolds. Spurs losing by 5 at Minnesota last night, 114-109. That series is now tied 2-2. In the loss for San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama ejected in the second quarter, hit with a flagrant 2 for an elbow on Naz Reid above the neck. Spurs coach Mitch Johnson saying the ejection was probably warranted, but Wembanyama, as a general rule, is left to fend for himself if no one's going to blow the whistle.
I'm glad he took matters into his own hands. Again, not in terms of hitting Naz Reid, but let me be very clear about that. I'm glad Naz Reid was okay, and I didn't want him to elbow him, but he's going to have to protect himself if they're not, and I think it's disgusting.
Remains to be seen if there'll be further discipline handed down. Spurs and Wolves tied 2-2. In the East, Knicks complete a sweep of the Sixers. They hit a record-tying 25 three-pointers en route to a 30-point rout in Game 4 in Philly. They're on to the Eastern Conference Finals in back-to-back years. First time that's happened in more than a quarter of a century. Knicks await the winner of the series between the Pistons and Cavs. Detroit has a 2-1 lead heading into Game 4 tonight in Cleveland. Also tonight, Thunder with a chance to sweep the Lakers. Hockey, Montreal 6-2 over the Sabres. Canadiens hold a 2-1 series lead. Ducks tie up their series with Vegas 2-2. A 4-3 win last night in Game 4. Baseball, Braves 2 hit the Dodgers. It's a 7-2 win for Atlanta. They're now 28-13, best record in baseball. Brewers pick up a 4th straight win, doing it in their last at-bat against the Yankees.
Opening pitch to Terang. Fly ball center field. It's hit well. Grisham back. It is gone! Another Mother's Day miracle for the Brewers.
WTMJ with the call. Bryce Terang, first career walk-off home run. Milwaukee's won its last 4. New York has dropped 3 straight. Padres get a sac fly from Manny Machado, walk off the Cardinals 3-2. Giants walk off the Pirates in 12. Kyle Schwarber a pair of home runs. Philly shuts out Colorado 6-0.
Turning to local sports now. If you're a baseball fan who loves edge-of-your-seat games that come down to the final out, welcome to the 2026 District 3 High School Baseball Tournament. With the exception of defending state champion and number 1 seed Bainbridge, the Olympic League season proved records didn't mean much. The number 7 seed Port Angeles Rough Riders at 11-8 overall host the number 10 seed Bremerton Knights at 8-10 today at Civic Field. First pitch 4 o'clock this afternoon. PA beat Bremerton 3-0 and 2-0 during the regular season. The Rough Riders have also won their last 8 games against the Knights, with 6 of those victories coming by shutout. Now, one of the biggest surprises of the Olympic League season has been senior Owen Leeds. Leeds, who did not record a varsity at-bat last year, has emerged as one of the league's top hitters. leading the Rough Riders with a .381 batting average, 16 hits and 8 runs scored. Those around the program say Leitz had a strong JV season last year, but with a talented senior class already in place, he simply just didn't get his opportunity. Senior Easton Fisher is hitting a solid .289, while junior Zach DeBray is batting .262. As expected, senior pitcher Cody Williams has been outstanding on the mound with a lights-out 1.8 ERA and 45 strikeouts. Senior Braden Martin has also earned all-league consideration with a 4-1 record, a team-leading 54 strikeouts, and a strong 2.3 ERA. Now, if the Rough Riders can knock off the Knights in this loser-out contest, they'll travel to face number 2 Fife of the South Puget Sound League tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Over the last 3 years, Port Angeles is 8-1 against South Puget Sound League opponents. Now, today's game will be broadcast here on KONP with our pregame show starting at 3:45. Ole Archibald and Greg Thomas will have the call for us. The Squim Wolves at 7-12 overall and number 9 seed travel to face number 8 seed Franklin Pierce, who's 10-9 today in another loser-out game at 4 o'clock. The winner will advance to face Bainbridge tomorrow. In softball, Port Angeles beat North Kitsap 13-3 to claim the league championship again. Allison Leitz pitched 3 1/3 innings with 4 strikeouts and no runs allowed, while Lindsey Reed worked 2 2/3 innings with 1 strikeout. Mariah Treband led the offense with a triple, a single, and 4 RBIs. Kennedy Rongman had a triple, a single, and 3 RBIs. Naomi Colfax had 3 singles. Micaiah Stevens added 2 singles and 2 RBIs. Morgan Politica doubled and singled, and Lillian Lancaster contributed with a sacrifice fly. Mariah Disk added an RBI single, and Lindsey Reed finished with 2 singles. We're going to join the Mariners in progress as they travel to Houston and try to regroup against the Astros. We'll have that game right after our Rough Rider game this afternoon at 4 o'clock.
One sip of tropical lime-flavored Mountain Dew Baja Blast will turn this into this. Your barbecue into a cabana. And your backyard into an island oasis. With a blast of tropical lime flavor, you can bring the beach vibes with you everywhere. Grab some friends and ice-cold Mountain Dew Baja Blast today. Do the Dew.
This is Ed from Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment Sales. Our family has trucked hay to feed the hungry animals in Western Washington for 4 generations. In that time, we have built a growing legacy of serving the needs of our customers, and we've never stopped. In 2014, we ventured into the equipment world by becoming a dealer and service provider for Mahindra tractors. Since then, we have partnered with quality brands such as Bad Boy, Aaron's Gravely, LS Tractor, Husqvarna, Snake River Trailers, and now Wacker Neuson Construction Equipment. We have a 3-bay shop where we not only service the brands we sell, but we also work on most major brands including Kubota, John Deere, and New Holland. We carry a wide variety of parts, filters, belts, and fluids. We have a fully stocked hydraulic shop and can build hoses for most machines while you wait. Chainsaw or weed eater needs some TLC, we work on small engines too. We even offer welding and fabrication services. We have been earning the Peninsula's trust for over 25 years with your animal's care. We look forward to earning your trust with your equipment's care too.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Over a dozen business leaders are set to join President Trump on his visit to China later this week when he meets with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Among those on the guest list, Tesla CEO Elon Musk and Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg. Interestingly, the delegation does not include NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. His exclusion marks a potential setback for NVIDIA in its bid to export AI processors to China, a market that Huang says could reach $50 billion in sales. Google disrupted a criminal hack attack. The company's security researchers say they broke up a cybercrime ring's attempt to use a Mythos-like AI model to exploit another company's vulnerability, alerting the developer, who was not named, and fixing the issue. And TikTok is rolling out a new plan for subscribers across the pond, announcing today it'll be offering an ad-free subscription to users in the UK. Simply called TikTok Ad-Free, it'll cost around £4 a month. That's a little over $5. It's unclear if the plan will be offered in the U.S. Erica Herskowitz, Bloomberg Radio.
In an emergency, every second counts. At Olympic Medical Center, we're committed to providing high-quality emergency care when you need it most, and important information to prepare you before you do. Visit our website to learn how our triage system works and how you can be better prepared for an ER visit. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. Learn more at olympicmedical.org/emergency care.
The premium compact powerhouse is here. The new MT225S from LS Tractor. 25 horsepower, 2-pedal hydrostatic transmission, and a highly featured operator platform. Now available with dealer-installed cab. All backed by the legendary LS Tractor warranty. Demo the new MT225S at your local dealer today.
Find the perfect LS Tractor for you at Leitz Farm Supply in Squim. Locally owned and operated. Call Leitz at 360-452-1400.
LS Tractor, simply more.
News Radio KONP, traffic and roads.
All right, things kind of busy up at Clallam Transit, so we're going to pass along an in-studio report from us here, and pretty much no problems to report, just your normal volume in downtown Port Angelo, slowing things down on Lincoln right now, and downtown at the corners of Lincoln at First and Front, and that's about it. A little bit of slowing heading out of town, especially through the construction zones there, and then it's pretty much green arrows all the way down to Squim. No real problems in Squim right now that we're seeing. If you're heading out to the Hood Canal Bridge right now, it is open for traffic. Do remember that the bridge will close at 10 o'clock tonight and be closed until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's going to happen tonight, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week, then Monday through Thursday next week, and Tuesday through Thursday the week after that. And when it's closed, it's entirely closed, meaning no traffic, including emergency vehicles, will be getting through while they do that work. Heading out west to Forks and Clallam Bay, 112, no problems. 101 looking pretty good, too. Ferries are all running on time in and out of Seattle right now, too. Weather forecast calling for sunshine the rest of the day today. Highs will be in the 60s. Partly cloudy tonight, lows mid-40s to low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow and a little bit warmer, low to mid-70s. And then we cloud up by Tuesday night with a chance of rain after midnight into Wednesday morning. By Wednesday afternoon, we could see some sunshine back again. Highs on Wednesday will be in the mid to upper 60s. Right now, it is 58 in Port Townsend, 69 out west at Forks. It's 63 in Squim, and out at Fairchild Airport here in Port Angeles, it's 59 degrees.
From ABC News Tech Trends. Nintendo says it's raising the price of its popular Switch 2. It'll now cost $500, up $50 from when it launched last year. It comes as gaming companies, which predominantly import their devices to the U.S., contend with tariffs from the Trump administration and the increased cost of RAM. General Motors has agreed to pay $12.75 million in civil penalties to settle a case brought by the California Attorney General and a group of law enforcement agencies. The automaker was accused of using its OnStar program to collect names, contact information, even location data and driving behavior on drivers, and then selling it to data brokers. And Amazon says its streaming service will soon get a scrolling feed of vertical video similar to TikTok. The feature will be called Clips, and it will be used to showcase moments from movies and series on Prime Video. It's rolling out to customers in the U.S. now. With Tech Trends, I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
ABC Entertainment News.
Dua Lipa is suing Samsung over the unauthorized use of her image to sell products. The levitating singer filed a $15 million lawsuit Friday, which claims the electronics company used her photo on TV packaging and marketing materials without her permission. The 79th Cannes Film Festival kicks off this week. 22 films will compete for the prestigious Palme d'Or, or Best Film Award. They include James Gray's Paper Tiger, the French language drama All of a Sudden, and the biographical film Fatherland. Disney has become the first major motion picture studio to break $2 billion globally this year. The Devil Wears Prada 2 gave the studio a big boost this Mother's Day weekend, reaching $433 million worldwide. It's already surpassed the first film's lifetime earnings. Disney is the parent company of ABC News. And please, don't prove she's right. It's Sabrina Carpenter's birthday today. I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Sometimes you can tell a lot about what someone wants to do offline by looking at what they do online. Let me tell you about Pinterest's first parenting trend report. Pinterest is a huge platform. They have 600 million monthly users, 80 billion searches per month. The report found a shift from the iPad kid era to now. when parents are actually more interested in real-world adventures and hands-on activities. The global trends and insights lead at Pinterest told us families are thoughtfully designing childhoods rooted in creativity, intention, and meaningful experiences. One psychologist we spoke to said he sees this as a reflection of parents' desire to build core capacities in their children: resilience, curiosity, self-regulation, empathy. These things don't grow automatically, but are built through lived experience. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Are you an adult with uncontrolled moderate to severe Crohn's disease symptoms and still packing a backup bag of clothes? Just in case? Skyrizi Risankizumab Riza can help you take control of your Crohn's. Feel significant symptom relief, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements at 4 weeks. Plus, Skyrizi is proven to help people achieve remission and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Individual results may vary. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's. Ready to take control of your Crohn's? Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's disease. Control is everything to me. Learn more at skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart, and this is One Moment in America. There's a lot of talk today about leveling the playing field here in America, taking from those who have and giving to those who have not. Would that work in America? I'll give you the answer after this important message.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart with a word from Liberty Village. After President Lincoln gave his 2-minute speech as his part of the Gettysburg Address, so many who heard and read his words called his speech perhaps the greatest speech ever. How can that be? Words so brief, less than 2 minutes, but words so powerful. Lincoln answered that himself. The world will little note nor long remember what we can say here, but it can never forget what they did here. He pointed beyond the speech to the sacrifice, beyond the words to the deeds. And then he reminded us why it mattered, that those who gave their lives had not died in vain, but had secured for us a new birth of freedom. That new birth of freedom is not just a line in a history book, it's a responsibility handed down to us. At Liberty Village, we help families understand and live the values that sustain that freedom. Subscribe to our free monthly founding values lessons and bring those principles into your home. Go to libertyvillage.org/education and register for free today.
There's this idea being insisted upon by some in America today that we all need to be made socially equal, and they believe it will work. But they're wrong. It was already tried almost 400 years ago by the Pilgrims. It didn't work then, and it won't work now. Why? One great speaker, Dr. Adrian Rogers, explains it this way. He says, you cannot legislate the poor into freedom by legislating the wealthy out of freedom. And the government can't give anything to anybody what it doesn't first take from somebody else. And when half the people learn they can get without working, while the other half learn what they work for they can't keep, that will be the end of America. How close are we to the end? I'm Jerry Stewart, and that was One Moment in America.
Bathfitter is celebrating over 42,000 installations in Western Washington. That's 42,000 bathrooms made safer, cleaner, and more stylish. And for a limited time, we're doubling our tax season offer, giving up to $1,000 off your dream bath. Custom-fit tub and shower solutions are installed in as little as 1 day, with complete removal of your old setup. Every installation backed by a lifetime warranty. Visit bathfitternw.com to schedule a free consultation. Hurry, this offer won't last.
Hi, this is John Holm, President of Tri-State Roofing, your local and family-owned company covering the entire Olympic Peninsula area. The difference with Tri-State Roofing is we separate ourselves with the quality of products we offer, customer service, including an A+ rating with the BBB, solid safety plans, and the best labor guarantees around. Call 360-208-2222.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
It's time for the First Fed Community Corner, showcasing outstanding people doing outstanding things in our community. Organizations like Olympic Angels, a local nonprofit supporting foster care families. Here on the Olympic Peninsula, foster care placement is much harder for children due to a severe shortage of foster homes.
For many, life can change quickly. New homes, new routines, and time away from what feels familiar. Some are separated from siblings. Others are cared for by relatives doing their best, often without the support they need. Olympic Angels walks alongside children, youth, and families experiencing foster care, offering consistent, caring relationships that bring stability, connection, and a sense of belonging. May is National Foster Care Month, and Olympic Angels is looking for volunteers in Clallam County to join or start a Love Box group, because everyone in the foster care community deserves to feel seen and supported. To learn more, visit olympicangels.org. That's olympicangels.org.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump is reacting to Iran's response to the latest U.S. ceasefire proposal.
President Trump has rejected Iran's response to end the war. In a social media post, Trump calls it totally unacceptable. Iran state media says Tehran rejected the proposal as amounting to surrender. Instead, Iran is insisting on war reparations by the U.S. Speaking on ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Walls, says President Trump is giving diplomacy every chance possible.
We don't expect a regime that's been obsessed with a nuclear weapon to just give it up freely.
I'm Mike Hempel.
Republicans returning to Washington today face questions about a $1 billion Senate security proposal that could help to pave the way for President Trump's ballroom as well.
Democrats say they'll try defeating this proposal. Senate Republicans added the money for White House security to a spending bill. This bill would restore funding for immigration enforcement agencies that Democrats have blocked since February. The steep security proposal was put forward after a man was charged with trying to assassinate President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner last month.
That is correspondent Andrew Stewart reporting. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer says Democrats will try to strip the security proposal from the bill. Chicago leaders clashing over a planned Walgreens closure on the south side. Here's Ken Lorman reporting.
Alderman William Hall and union leaders are calling for prosecution, warning the shutdown will create what he claims would be a, quote, food desert and medicine drought in the Chatham neighborhood. Walgreens says rising crime made it impossible to keep customers and staff safe. Some city officials say years of unchecked theft and vandalism are now forcing stores to leave. Ken Lorman reporting.
More from townhall.com.
I talked to a lot of great companies. Very few of them actually literally surprised me, but Fellowship Home Loans sure did. For over 20 years, Mike and Brian and the team there have been helping families do something most people think is more complicated than it has to be. Get into a home, lower their rate, or tap into equity they didn't even realize they had. Everything at Fellowship is done in-house. One roof, one great team, all with a servant-led mentality. From your first phone call to closing, you're going to get people who know you by name. They'll know your situation. They treat you like family. They're also offering a free mortgage checkup right now. Don't miss out. Rates are lower now than if you purchased or refinanced your home in the last few years. Many Fellowship customers are saving hundreds of dollars a month when refinancing, and there are no payments for 2 months. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Democrats in Oregon are facing some trouble.
A referendum on the state's primary ballot seeking to repeal a Democratic gas tax increase is complicating the affordability message central to the party's midterm election strategy. The Democratic-controlled legislature raised the state gas tax and other fees last fall as a way to plug a hole in the state's transportation budget. The GOP responded with a petition to repeal the increases. That's leading to the referendum. Republicans say the tax increase will further fuel the high cost of living. Jason Walker reporting.
New U.S. migration trends show Americans leaving high-cost Democrat strongholds for Republican-led Sunbelt states. Since 2020, California, New York, and Illinois have all seen the largest net population losses. Texas, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina, and Tennessee all posted strong gains. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. China says its exports rose 14% last month compared to a year ago, and that's despite the Iran war.
The newly released report comes ahead of this week's planned meeting between President Trump and Chinese President Xi in Beijing. The results beat analyst estimates and are a significant improvement from March's 2.5% year-on-year expansion. Imports have climbed 25.3%.
That is Rich Thomason reporting. Meanwhile, new figures show just how dominant China remains in global energy.
China now produces more coal than the rest of the world combined. According to the 2025 Statistical Review of World Energy, in 2024, China mined 4.78 billion tons of coal, accounting for 51.7% of global production. Just 6 countries together supply nearly 90% of the world's coal, with China alone surpassing all other nations combined. Ron Taylor reporting.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is the News Radio KONP Noon Report.
It's outdoor time from the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Monday, May 11th. Candidate filing week has wrapped up, and several races affecting Clallam County voters are headed for contested primaries this summer. The biggest ballot crowding is in the 24th Legislative District and the Clallam County PUD Commissioner race, where more than 2 candidates have filed in those races, meaning only the top 2 vote-getters in August will advance to the general election. In the race for State Representative Position 1, incumbent Democrat Adam Birnbaum will face Republican Eric Pratt, Independent Ted Bowen, and Republican Aidan Hamilton, as well as Democrat Bradley Nemo Calloway. In Position 2, that race to replace retiring Representative Steve Theringer also crowded. Democrat Patrick DePoe, Democrat Kaylee Keene, Democrat Mark Hodgson, and no party preference candidate Marcia Kelbon have all filed for the seat. The race for Clallam County PUD Commissioner District 2 may be one of the most competitive local contests on the ballot. 5 candidates have filed for that board position: Timothy Dalton, Missy Baker, Rick Pascal, Randy Brackett, and John Jack Smith. That field will also be narrowed to 2 candidates in the August primary. At the federal level, incumbent Democrat Emily Randall drew 4 challengers in the 6th congressional district race: Republicans Teresa Fox and Leon Lawson, Independent Brian P. O'Gorman, and Democrat Macy Jones. Several county races will go straight to the November ballot with just 2 candidates filing. Those include the Clallam County Assessor's race between Lee Hancock and Antonio Price, County Auditor with Shuna Riggs and Virginia Sjogren, County Commissioner District 3 with Mike French and Jake Seegers, and District Court 1 Judge Alex Shadowski and Patrick Murphy. Other county offices uncontested: Sheriff, Treasurer, Prosecuting Attorney, Director of Community Development, and District Court 2 Judge. All the incumbents filing and no challengers. The primary election set for August 4th. Now with a look at some things that happened over the past few days, here's Sandy Keys with his weekend wrap-up.
Normal traffic stop patterns disappeared over the weekend with unheard-of statistics that left our heads spinning. This past weekend, with Sequim's huge gathering of Irrigation Festival attendees from everywhere, Sequim and not Port Angeles had the big number of traffic stops Friday, with 16 drivers invited to pull over. In Port Angeles, just 1 known stop. However, on Saturday, Port Angeles regained the lead with an exciting 3 known traffic stops. Sequim had only 2. That makes just 5 stops. But the weekend's total was 14. How did that happen? Well, the West End was bristling with traffic activity such as that area might never have seen before. There was an unheard-of 3 traffic stops in Tiny Beaver alone, 3 more stops in Forks, and 5 traffic stops in downtown La Push. Elsewhere, in spite of it being a festive weekend, not everybody participated. Some were busy performing assaults. The first at 3:30 Friday afternoon on West Washington Sequim. The others were in Port Angeles on West 1st and another that afternoon on East 1st. Officers dealt with 5 disturbance complaints, and fire departments dealt with, among other calls, a brush fire at 101 and Deer Park Road and a car fire at Colonel's Way. There was a threatened suicide in Port Angeles, and authorities completed an unusual 4 routine death investigations. We had 4 known vehicle accidents, no DUIs, but 1 minor in possession in Sequim, 3:30 Saturday afternoon on East Washington. Sequim police, assisted by officers loaned from other agencies, were well able to assure the security and enjoyment of festival attendees, and still participated in the 33 weekend traffic stops, 13 welfare checks, and 13 building checks. And finally, a timely reminder, the use of fireworks here is severely restricted, evidenced by the season's first fireworks violation, possibly with an arrest and fine Friday evening on North Blake Avenue Square. Sandy Keys, KONP Local News. If it's time for new asphalt paving for your dirt, gravel, or damaged driveway, now's the time to call Lakeside Industries for a free estimate. They've been serving this community since 1982 with city, county, and highway projects, of course. But did you know that they do residential and commercial grading, paving, and stormwater too? Well, they're scheduling spring and summer jobs right now, and no job is too small. Just call Lakeside Industries, 452-7803 or lakesideindustries.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Leslie Robertson from the Port Angeles Chamber of Commerce, and I'm telling you to get ready for this year's 4th of July because it is truly going to be one for the history books. We have a day full of festivities, including our apple pie baking contest, a hot dog eating contest, cornhole tournament, lawn demo derby, and of course the Kids Zone at Port Angeles City Pier. This year's parade, sponsored by Kitsap Bank and produced by Lambert Consulting, has an extra special theme celebrating the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. As the sun goes down, Black Diamond Junction takes the stage for a live concert, and closing out the night, fireworks are back over Port Angeles Harbor, brought to you by Astound Broadband and the Port Angeles Chamber of Commerce. For information about these events or your parade application, please visit our website at portangeles.org. Once again, get your parade applications in as soon as you can at portangeles.org.
In other news, a 21-year-old Forks man has been sentenced for domestic violence charges against his former girlfriend. Anthony Beglinger was sentenced to 30 months in prison for burglary, first degree, and unlawful imprisonment, both of which were acts of domestic violence, following a guilty plea to the charges. Court records show that Beglinger, in violation of a protection order, went to the home of his ex-girlfriend, kicked in her door, and assaulted her. After the assault, he tried to restrain her from leaving the property by blocking the driveway with his vehicle and kicking her vehicle windows. Now, after he's released from prison, he will be on community custody for 18 months and will be required to comply with substance abuse treatment and take a domestic violence course. There's also a lifetime no-contact order between Beglinger and his ex-girlfriend. Washington Department of Natural Resources warning of a looming budget shortfall tied to declining timber revenue, raising concerns about potential cuts to agency operations and impacts on counties and schools that rely on logging income. Industry groups and labor unions blame an 8-month pause on timber sales ordered by Public Lands Commissioner Dave Upthegrove, while the agency reviewed protections for older forests. Upthegrove disputes the claim, saying the problem's more about delays in when logging companies harvest trees and pay the state. The department says more than $20 million in timber sale revenue has not yet been collected because purchasers can wait years before actually cutting the trees. This is News Radio KONP.
End-of-life decisions are hard. Be it pre-planning or sudden loss, you need to have an advocate in your corner, which is why I wholeheartedly recommend Drennan and Ford Funeral Home and Crematory in Port Angeles, the only locally owned funeral home and crematory in Clallam County. Their expertise ensures a smooth process so you can focus on healing and being with your loved ones. Their help through the darkest time in my life will forever stay with me. Call 360-457-1210.
Looking for the next place to call home? Come tour Lavender Meadows in Sequim.
I had been looking at this great community here. Lavender Meadows stands way above the others.
Dennis and his wife found more than just a home.
One of my favorite things we have here is we have a community garden. We can grow tomatoes and just all kinds of greens. Our radishes were fabulous.
Come meet your new neighbors at Lavender Meadows. Our modern, low-maintenance homes give you more time to enjoy your life. Go to lavendermeadowsmhc.com.
Laurel Lanes in Port Angeles believes that family time should be fun, provide some exercise, and most of all, be affordable. That's why during the summer, Uncle Vern makes sure that all kids that bowl for free. All you have to do to take part in this awesome deal is go to laurellanesbowling.com and click on Kids Bowling on the top left hand of the page. It's free to sign up, and you'll get 2 free games a day for the kids. That's laurellanesbowling.com.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 63. Northeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows level off around 48 tonight, partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 70 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid-60s Wednesday with a slight chance for rain. Turning cooler Thursday with highs in the upper 50s. Showers continue. A peek at the extended shows, 57 Friday, 57 Saturday, and 60 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, 57.
NBA playoffs Sunday, conference semifinals in the East. The Knicks swept out the Sixers 144-114. They took the 4 games by an average margin of over 22 points. Philadelphia hit the first bucket of the game and never led after that, as New York tied the playoff record, making 25 three-point shots. Deuce McBride hit 7 trays as he filled in for the injured OG Anunoby and scored a game-high 25 points. That was the first 4-game playoff sweep for the Knicks since 1999. Out west, the Timberwolves topped the Spurs last night, 114-109. That series all even at 2-2. Anthony Edwards scored 16 of his 36 points in the fourth quarter.
The people around me, man, they're not just like yes men. It's not a bunch of people that's just willing to do anything you say. These people really want to see me succeed, and they don't let me take a day off. They stay on me. So I appreciate everybody that's in my circle, but that's enough about me.
Victor Wembanyama never even made it to halftime. He was ejected for the first time in his career after throwing a flagrant elbow early in the second quarter. His status for Game 5 in San Antonio still to be determined. Also Sunday, the Wizards won the draft lottery, the first time in 8 years that the team with the worst record during the regular season came away with the number 1 overall pick. This year's draft is June 23rd. Stanley Cup playoffs, second round. The Canadians blunted the Sabres 6-2 for a 2-1 series lead. Alex Newhook scored twice, and the Ducks doinked the Golden Knights 4-3. That series tied at 2. Baseball, the Braves beat the Dodgers 7-2 to take the weekend series between division leaders Atlanta with the top record in the majors at the quarter pole. Padres rallied past the Cardinals 3-2 in 10 innings. Nick Castellanos tied it with a homer in the 9th. Manny Machado's sac fly in the 10th sent everybody home happy and put the Dads in a tie for the NL West lead with L.A. Rangers jaked up the Cubs 3-0. Jacob deGrom and Jacob Latz combined on a 3-hitter. Andrew Abbott and the Costellos tossed a 3-hitter as the Reds blanked the Astros 5-0. Phillies shut out the Rockies 6-0. Christopher Sanchez and company scattered 7 hits. Kyle Schwarber put a couple of balls into orbit. Bryce Terang homered in the bottom of the 9th to boost the Brewers over the Yankees and complete the weekend sweep. Rays down the Red Sox to move into first place in the AL East. Orioles edged the AL West leading A's, while the Twins tipped the AL Central leading Guardians. Tigers trimmed the Royals to snap out of a 5-game funk. Gage Workman's first big league tater was the go-ahead shot in the 6th. By the way, his middle name is Tater. Joe Adell went deep twice to lead the Angels over the Blue Jays. Diamondbacks drilled the Mets. Marlins scored 3 in the 8th to knock off the Nationals. White Sox got 2 in the 8th to sink the Mariners, and the Giants turned back the Pirates in 12 innings. That's Monday Sports.
Sometimes the more things change, the more things stay the same. Cars and trucks certainly have changed, but it's really good to know that A1 Auto Parts in Sequim has the same great service and expert advice as always. Whether it's advanced technology of the newest model or a classic with hard-to-find parts, the A1 team is your go-to for expert advice and tracking the right equipment. A1 Auto Parts and Marine across from Sunshine Cafe in downtown Sequim.
This afternoon on the Todd Ortloff Show, Column 2 Fire Rescue Chief Jake Patterson discussing the Fire District's EMS levy coming up. And we'll talk with local author Mike Nolan, who along with his wife Ann rode all 10 Washington State ferries in one day.
Join us at 1 o'clock Monday through Thursday for the Todd Ortloff Show on KONP. Information to keep you engaged in your community with the people and organizations who keep it running. Sponsored by Dan Shappy Farmers Insurance.
Ahoy, Port Angeles! Set your course and mark those calendars for this year's Port of Port Angeles Maritime Festival, June 6th. The Maritime Festival features great live music, delicious food vendors from some of the most delicious in the area, along with a lively beer garden. The Maritime Festival, presented by the Port of Port Angeles, will be a day full of sea-loving family fun, highlighting our maritime careers at the Port Angeles Boat Haven. Best of all, it's free. This year we'll have a large wading pool for kids and get in on the 3rd annual Flounder Pounder Fishing Tournament, open to the whole family. Check out all the details and watch for continued event updates. Go to maritimefestival.org. We'll see you on the waterfront for the Port of Port Angeles Maritime Festival, June 6th at the Port Angeles Boat Haven.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Novo Nordisk is handing over an experimental therapy for Parkinson's disease to Cellular Intelligence. It's a Mark Zuckerberg-backed AI startup. Cellular Intelligence will be in charge of shepherding the treatment through clinical trials and will use its AI platform to accelerate clinical development and manufacturing. Novo Nordisk stands to receive milestone payments and royalties if the program succeeds and has agreed to buy a stake in Cellular Intelligence as part of the deal. Meanwhile, Novo's oral versions of its blockbuster weight loss drugs Ozempic and Wegovy are now available for same-day delivery on Amazon. The Ozempic pill launched last week following the January debut of an oral version of Wegovy, which has delivered strong results, generating more than $350 million in first-quarter sales. And a new report says workers at Meta are angry and miserable. The New York Times reports workers there are revolting against a new policy that tracks their keystrokes and how they move their mouse. Meta says it's being done to train AI, but workers argue that they're just training the replacements. Erica Herskowitz, Bloomberg Radio.
Right now at Angelus Furniture, take advantage of huge spring savings on Stressless by Eckernes. Save $200 on each Stressless seat. That means 2 seats are $400 off, 3 are $600 off, and so on, up to 5 seats. Check out the beautiful mint low back with arms in Paloma teal blue and black leather, and the Emily angled sofa with wide arms in Paloma chestnut. The spring Stressless sale going on now through June 1st at Angelus Furniture.
National Karastan Month is underway now at McCrory Carpet One, offering the biggest savings of the year on Karastan flooring, with prices starting at just $2.99 a square foot for carpet and $4.99 a square foot for LVP. If you desire timeless flooring for your home or business, Karastan flooring is flawless, long-lasting, and made for a life lived beautifully. Right now, get 12 months of 0% financing OAC. When it comes to the perfect flooring, there's no better combo than Karastan and my friends at McCrory Carpet One.
Everyone seems to be coughing and sneezing these days, and allergies may not be the only reason. It could be human metapneumovirus, or HMPV, a common respiratory illness that spreads through coughs, sneezes, and close contact. This virus is most common in late winter and spring, and researchers say it sickens millions of people each year. For most people, it feels like a common cold. Unpleasant, but not life-threatening. But for babies, older adults, and those with weaker immune systems, it can sometimes lead to pneumonia. There is no vaccine and no specific treatment. If you do get sick, rest. Fluids and basic care are usually enough, but the best thing to do to try to stop the virus before it comes home. Cover your coughs and sneezes, regularly clean shared surfaces like tables and doorknobs, and always wash your hands well. With this Medical Minute, I'm Melissa Adon.
Well, study found nearly 1 in 2 people believe that they're the best person they know. In a survey of 2,000 U.S. residents, 81% said they believe that humankind is inherently good. 3 in 4, though, believe they themselves are fundamentally a good person. And when researchers asked respondents how they would compare themselves to others in their lives, 46% went a step further, admitting that in their own eyes, they're better than everyone else they know. 72% admitted to judging other people's behavior. Another 61% also worry about other people judging them. In general, Americans say that a good person should be kind, giving, and friendly.
In 2023, the very first fully AI-generated hit song was Heart on My Sleeve by Ghostwriter. The song was tweaked to sound exactly like Drake in The Weeknd. And before it was removed by Drake's copyright attorneys, it was streamed more than 600,000 times. Today, Spotify and Apple are inundated by AI music. I'm Kim Comando for NetSuite. AI is here, and your competitors are already using it. If your revenue is over 7 figures, get their free guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/Kim. Okay, if you knew that a song was completely generated by AI, would you listen? Warning an audience before airing an AI song is exactly what the FCC says radio stations must do. And you cannot copyright an all AI song. So who should stations pay for broadcasting it is a legal problem. So they don't. But Spotify and Apple aren't subject to FCC regulations, and they do. So who's right And who's wrong? And that answer's still to come. And be sure to sign up for my free newsletter, Join a Million Folks, at getkim.com.
Every business owner I talk to asks the same question. How do I make AI work for me? Not someday, today. Sitting on the sidelines is not an option. Your competitors aren't waiting. NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 AI cloud ERP, trusted by over 43,000 businesses. It pulls your financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM into one system. When everything lives in one place, your AI knows your business. It doesn't guess. It knows. You make decisions based on the data and AI, not on your gut. You get alerted to red flags before they turn into problems and make fast, confident decisions that move the needle. How do I know? I'm bringing NetSuite into my business right now. From software and IT services to healthcare, equipment manufacturing, financial services, and many other great American industries, NetSuite delivers a customized solution for your business. If your revenues are at least 7 figures, get NetSuite's free business guide, Demystifying AI, right now. It's free to you at netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim, netsuite.com/Kim.
I'm John Tesh, and coming up, we'll help you supercharge your brain power with tricks from neuroscientists. These tips and habits can help you think faster, protect your memory, and enhance your attention span. Next, in today's Intelligence for Your Life Minute.
I'm U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. The sound of a seatbelt. It's one of the most important sounds in our car. It means everyone is ready and everyone is safe. The more our kids see us put on our seatbelts, the more natural it is for them to put theirs on too. Make it a priority. Buckle up every time. Hear the sound? Make it a habit.
Paid for by NHTSA.
All right, here we go with a few quick ways to supercharge your brain power. First, make some quick decisions. If you want to be less indecisive about everything, from what to eat for lunch to how to tackle a project, the secret is to cut through the mental clutter and force yourself to choose faster. Then try this to enhance your attention span. Do more activities that make you think, wow. Positive surprises engage the brain area that controls attention because your brain wants to absorb and understand them. So ask your significant other or best friend to plan an activity and surprise you. Also, keep learning, because when you have more brain cells, it takes longer for your brain power to decline as you age, which can make a huge difference in thinking and memory. And you can build up your cognitive reserve by learning a new language, a musical instrument, or joining a book club. I'm John Tesh with today's Intelligence for Your Life Minute.
Olympic Hot Tub has more ways than ever to achieve total wellness at home. Immerse yourself in a saltwater hot spring spa and let jets melt stress away. Enjoy a refreshing swim in an endless pool swim spa. Retreat to healing warmth and detox in a Tilo sauna. Then awaken mind and body with a cold plunge. You'll be saying, ah, in no time. Your path to wellness starts today at Olympic Hot Tub. Current specials with exciting savings at olympichottub.com. Better you, better life.
Hey everybody, Todd here at Price Ford. And backed by popular demand, Ford has come out with the employee pricing for everyone. And I'm not talking about what I would pay as an employee. I'm talking about what the corporate employees pay. You can't buy a new Ford for less money. This offer covers almost every vehicle in the Ford lineup. So if you're in the market for a new Ford, hurry down to Price Ford right on Highway 101, right next to Walmart in Port Angeles, and we'll have a vehicle waiting for you.
The North Peninsula's news, the North Peninsula's talk. News Radio KONP, Port Angeles.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Health officials say 17 Americans and 1 British national living in the U.S. are now in quarantine at medical facilities in Nebraska and Georgia. The majority in Omaha. ABC's Steve Osunsami says 2 patients are at Emory Hospital in Atlanta.
In a statement from Emory Hospital, they say that they're working in coordination with local, state, and federal partners, that they've received 2 passengers here from the cruise ship following the outbreak. 1 is symptomatic and is receiving care in Emory's biocontainment unit, and 1 is asymptomatic currently, identified as a close contact, and is undergoing evaluation and monitoring.
President Trump rejecting Iran's response to a ceasefire memo. The U.S. and Iran remain stalled over reopening the Strait of Hormuz and also Iran's nuclear ambitions. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
The big sticking point for weeks, for months now, of course, has been Iran's nuclear program and their nuclear ambitions. The president has been very clear. He wants the United States to get Iran's enriched uranium. He said that last week. We're going to get it. That has been a red line for Iran. But it's not clear if that was something specific they put back in this. But again, it's been a sticking point for some time.
A nonprofit conservation group has launched a legal battle to try to stop the repainting of the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool.
In a lawsuit filed Monday, a nonprofit called the Cultural Landscape Foundation argued that Trump needs approval from Congress to alter the Lincoln Memorial because it's a historical landmark. Trump has defended his attempt to repaint the reflecting pool in a shade of blue called American Flag Blue and renovate the site.
And over the years as a developer, I've probably built more than 100 swimming pools.
The nonprofit is asking a judge to halt the renovations until the Trump administration gets congressional approval. Peter Haralambous, ABC News.
On Wall Street today, stocks ending higher, led by tech shares. You're listening to ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Severe weather is targeting parts of the South today in drought-stricken regions, and extreme heat in parts of the West and mountain states are raising the risk for wildfires. Here's ABC News meteorologist Kenton Joecki.
Where it's also very warm in the upper Midwest, it's also combining with dry conditions on the ground and a lot of wind, and that's giving them fire weather danger, meaning that weather conditions are there and that if a fire sparks, it's going to spread rapidly. That's for parts of eastern Montana. We're talking about South Dakota, North Dakota, even through much of Nebraska, including Kearney, Nebraska, and then you're getting through northern Minnesota as well, where we have elevated fire danger there too as well today.
In Florida, fire crews working to contain a brush fire in the Miami-Dade and Broward counties near Highway 27. It's burned more than 5,600 acres. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy facing criticism for a 5-part reality show that he did with his family. Duffy is in a series called The Great American Road Trip, following his family to U.S. landmarks, he says, to celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Duffy used to star in the MTV series The Real World. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer facing growing calls to resign from members of his own Labour Party in the wake of disastrous local election results. 3 ministers serving in his government have also resigned. The Prime Minister's polling numbers down due to perceptions that the economy hasn't changed in the UK, and also amid the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files involving a U.S. ambassadors appointed by Starmer.
As each season changes, one thing stays the same. Airport Garden Center is always here to help your yard and garden grow. Airport Garden Center opened for business in 1977 as a pet, plant, and feed store by Eldora and Floyd Matthews. The family-run operation continues with Mark and Betsy Matthews passionately managing the business to this day. Their family provides your family quality service, products, and expert advice for a fun, rewarding, pet and child-friendly shopping atmosphere. We love helping you plan next season by offering monthly special savings too. Go to airportgarden.biz for current specials and seasonal classes and events, or just stop on by our spacious indoor-outdoor garden center on Edgewood Drive in Port Angeles to chat with the experts. Airport Garden Center, planting knowledge, growing gardeners since 1977.
KONP News brought to you by RE/MAX Evergreen Real Estate. Outstanding agents, outstanding results, 457-6600. Well, candidate filing week has wrapped up, and several races affecting Clallam County voters will be headed for contested primaries in August. crowded races include both 24th Legislative District state representative positions, and the Clallam County PUD Commissioner race has 5 candidates filing. Conservative group Let's Go Washington says it plans to gather signatures to overturn the state's new income tax on high earners. Organizers are weighing whether to push for a 2026 ballot measure or wait until 2027 after the state Supreme Court rejected an earlier referendum effort.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. Daytime highs approaching 63 this afternoon under mainly sunny skies. Winds out of the east, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 48 tonight, partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 70 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Turning cooler Wednesday and Thursday with highs from the upper 50s to the low 60s. Scattered showers possible both days. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 57 Friday, 57 Saturday, and 60 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently 58.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
Hey, welcome once again to our program. Got a lot to cover today. The first part of the show, we've welcomed back Chief Jake Patterson from Clallam 2 Fire Rescue. Jake, good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
And today we're going to be talking about a ballot issue that's going to be before Fire District 2 voters come this August primary.
Yes.
And once again, for the third time in about 6 years. Can I do the math right there?
The second time.
Second time in 2 years.
Yeah, we had an EMS levy in 2024, but prior to that, we had our EMS levy was in early 2000s.
There you go. Anyway, so an EMS levy, it's going to go before voters, and we've talked about this in the past. 2 years ago, there was an attempt that did not get passed. So let's talk about kind of what's going before voters this time.
We're going to present to the voters EMS levy. It's a 10-year EMS levy asking for 50 cents per thousand assessed value to fund our EMS operations. As we've discussed in the past, and there's never a good time to go ask for more money, but these are one of those things that it's essential for us to grow and meet the demands of the citizens.
Explain kind of the history of this too. You've not had an EMS levy. A lot of places have them, but you don't. And how have you been able to do this without it up to this point?
Yeah, we don't currently have an EMS levy. When the fire district started providing advanced life support, paramedic level care starting in 2012, it was decided at that point to be more conservative and not ask for an EMS levy to fund it. So it was all funded out of the regular fire levy. So we've been operating in that way. And so more and more funding has had to go towards EMS from that regular fire levy. And there's demands that the fire levy is supposed to pay for. It's supposed to pay for apparatus, fire equipment, and all that stuff. And more is just being used to fund our EMS program. So we need a dedicated EMS funding source to help sustain it, not only sustain it, but grow it.
Give us the rules as to how you're allowed to have these two separate levies.
So the regular fire levy can be used anything for operations. So it can be used for fire suppression, wildland fire suppression, fire prevention, and EMS. There's no restrictions that says you can't do it. An EMS levy is specifically for EMS operations. If an agency, a fire district, didn't provide EMS, they couldn't go for an EMS levy. Okay. So it's restricted by the Washington state law that it has to go towards funding EMS operations. And what that would do for us is it would allow us to take some of our fire levy money that's being used to fund our EMS program and start reallocating that back to long-term capital projects, long-term capital purchases.
Quite frankly, I mean, the nature of calls has changed over decades and decades, too. I mean, way back in the old days, quote unquote, you weren't running as many EMS calls. In fact, a lot of fire districts didn't even provide that service.
They didn't. And a lot as things grew through the 70s and 80s, they started to provide more and more EMS. The district got EMTs for a long time. They relied solely on Olympic Ambulance to provide coverage. As that coverage was not where it needed to be, in around 2012, the fire district started, again, its advanced life support paramedic program to provide coverage. And then through an agreement, we work with Olympic Ambulance. We still do today, but demands are increasing not only within the fire district on our 911s, but all the other agencies are seeing spikes in calls.
and Olympic Ambulance is trying to meet the needs of not only the fire agencies but also the hospital. So it's just straining everything. So we need to look at expanding.
A bit of a victim of your own conservativeness in some ways, because you've been able to kind of do this without an EMS levy to this point.
Yeah, I mean, up until, like, again, 2012, when we didn't have the advanced life support program, it was easier to keep costs down. But once that demand was there, and again, in the last 15 years, we've seen over 100% increase in call volume. Went from just under 1,000 calls to just over 2,000 calls last year. So we've seen a doubling, and we could project that it's going to be increasing steadily over the next several years, which we need to be prepared for. So really right now, we only have enough career full-time staff to staff one unit. We've just started a pilot program to use part-timers to help staff a second unit, because one of the big things is that with the increasing call volume, calls start to overlap.
Right.
And so about 32% of the time when we get a 911 call, we already have a previous 911 call active. So
and let me guess, a good portion of those are medical calls.
Yep.
On top of medical calls.
Yep. Right. About 70% of our calls are medical related. So
explain for folks a bit about advanced life in that change, because I think they realize, well, there has always been like an ambulance that could come before 2012, but what changed and why the fire district then took that on?
The fire district saw a need for higher level of care. So up until that point, the fire district provided basic life support with EMTs, which is great. But when you get advanced life support is when you bring in the paramedics. And so they can do more in-field treatment to help with the critically injured or medical emergencies and stuff like that. So brought in the paramedics to bring up that higher level of service. And because part of that was also with Fire District 2, we're kind of sandwiched in between. With the City of Port Angeles provided paramedic level service, Fire District 3 provided paramedic level service, and we kind of want to have this, everybody in the area should be
gets
treated,
comparable treatment,
comparable treatment and response. And so that's been kind of one of our goals as we move forward.
And that's a little bit of an expectation, though, I think, for folks. Maybe they don't understand what it takes to do that. But, if I'm having a cardiac event, I want to have more than somebody that can come and just put me in an ambulance and get me to the hospital.
Yeah.
I want them to work on me somewhat.
Yeah, and it's a very successful program, and we get feedback all the time that people are very happy with the services we provide. And as I've told our firefighters crews before, as we go for these EMS levies, don't take the ballot measures as an indicator of what the value of the public feels you're doing. Because universally, I would say we probably get 98% support, and people are pretty happy with what we do. But people have to make choices, and it's never a good situation where people have to ask people to raise their taxes. It's not something that's very intrinsic that people want to do, but it's just, unfortunately, it's a necessity.
Okay, so let's talk about the mechanics of this ask. It's 50 cents. It's a 10-year period, so this would sunset or has to get reapproved again in a decade if it is approved this time.
Yes, and that's the difference between like our regular fire levy. It stays the same, and now it's through the whole assessed value and our restrictions to 1%, which we keep talking about. It can go down. The rate can go down over the years. An EMS levy, the one that's being proposed, has a set limit. It's a 10-year EMS levy. At the end of that 10 years, the voters get to decide whether to renew it or not.
Is that common with an EMS levy?
Yes. So you can be 6 years, 10 years, or a permanent EMS levy. The difference between a permanent EMS levy is then you have to do a different kind of more in-depth accounting of it because it's permanent. Most smaller agencies and most agencies don't have a permanent levy. They just rely on the 6 or 10 years, just because it also, again, in Washington State, like we talked about the 1% limitation and why we have to keep coming back, it's participatory government. The voters get to decide. Unfortunately, you hear from me every few years going, okay, it's time again. Because previously to the initiative that restricted it to 1%, fire districts could raise their amount they collected by up to 6%. So voters didn't see an EMS levy or a fire levy all that often because you were able to keep up with the cost of inflation.
If that had still stayed the same, would you need an EMS levy at this point, do you think? I mean, that's a big what if.
That's a big what if. It would definitely restrict our need to keep going back and asking for the public. And part of that is the philosophical thing. We're providing this level. We need dedicated funding. As I mentioned, being sandwiched between two other agencies, one thing that we want to accomplish the primary goal is to hire more staff. And one of the other things we can do is institute a new billing program for district residents where they don't receive a bill from the fire district if they're transported by our ambulance. Currently, we'd bill because we don't have an EMS levy for any kind of offset.
So that's going to change then, what it looks like after you've had service from you then.
Yes. So like the City of Port Angeles Fire District 3, since they have Medic One utility or an EMS levy in place, they have a different billing mechanism for city residents or residents of District 3, whereas we just bill because that's the way it was instituted. And this EMS levy would allow us to institute a similar billing policy, again, kind of that parity across the area that people can come to expect.
So is that going to be a savings to somebody who needs your service in the district?
It can. What the program does, is it bills, it's called third-party payer. It bills insurance companies, and whatever the insurance company doesn't cover, the district is able to write off because there's a EMS levy in place. We can justify that write-off by saying they pay taxes. And what it does is it creates a different thing. As you know, in this area, we have a very high tourist population, and there's always that question of tourists that come in and receive the services at the same rate that citizens do. This kind of allows the citizens to get
evens it out a bit.
It gives them the credit for them being property taxpayers. So if a non-resident comes through and they're transported, then they will get fully billed. But it's just the residents we'd have that offset.
Okay. So yeah, so it'd be very similar then across Port Angeles and Sequim and your district then, if this goes through. You mentioned that everybody else has got an EMS levy, except you right now. Why is that? I mean, aside from what you did at the beginning, it was saying it was just a conscious decision that the board made way back when.
Yeah, we are one of 3 public agencies in Clallam County that have an advanced life support paramedic license. Olympic Ambulance does have one too, but they're a private company. So as far as those, we're the only ones that don't have an EMS levy. Like, for instance, Fire District 1 in Forks doesn't have an EMS levy. They're just getting started into EMS. Fire District 4 doesn't have an EMS levy, but they don't have an advanced life support. Typically, when an entity creates an advanced life support paramedic program,
that's when you need a levy like that.
It goes to the public and they vote that in at that time. So like Port Angeles back in the early 80s started their Medic 1 when they started their paramedic program, and same thing with Fire District 3. When they start their paramedic program, they get an EMS levy passed. The decision was made at the time with District 2 just to fund it through our existing fire levy. So,
all right, let's this gets passed. Get specific as to what this looks like for your agency right out of the gate if you get an EMS levy in place.
The first thing is to hire more staff. Like I said, we have currently 9 full-time employees. We're piloting a program where we've brought on 12 part-timers to try to fill in staff 2 ambulances. Because we're also in the process of placing a modular home out at our West Side Fire Station, because the response times out to the West Side are long. Again, overlapping calls. If your only ambulance is coming from Gales Addition all the way out to Dry Creek, not only is that a delay going out to Dry Creek, but now the only ambulance on the east side of the district is now on the far west side. So we're trying to disperse our full-time response crews. We still have volunteers. They're still critical to our operations. However, I think everybody can see that the need for volunteers has been there, and the availability of volunteers is diminishing because of family needs, social needs, all that kind of stuff. So the first thing to do is hire more full-time staff to stabilize our staffing model.
Those paramedics, by the way, that come in, are you getting cross-trained? So they're firefighter paramedics? Right?
Yep.
So they can go on a fire call as well. So you're getting double bang for your buck.
Yeah, our ideal situation is that you have a crew sitting in a station, and like our West Side Fire Station, you have a ambulance, a fire engine, a water tender truck with a lot of water, and a wildland fire engine. And then based on the call, they can take whatever, their jump crews.
So they can just go.
Yep.
Okay, got it. All right, continue. I kind of interrupted you there.
Oh, no, that's fine.
What about equipment? This can be used for capital projects only if they're like an ambulance, correct? I mean, that's what you're limited to as far as buying vehicles out of this.
Yes, I know we've talked before about the expense of all fire equipment and stuff like that, but not only is that expensive, but we now have to use that regular money out of our capital money from our fire levy to pay for ambulances, EMS equipment, cardiac monitors, gurneys, and all that stuff. This would allow us to have a dedicated EMS replacement schedule so that when our critical life-saving equipment like EMS monitors come due in another 15 years, we've been able to save to automatically replace those. We don't have to rely on either a bond or a levy or something like that to fund those. We can get them so that there's no lapse in service or coverage.
What's the price of an ambulance these days?
No. my guess would be we would probably be pushing somewhere between $250,000 to $300,000 for an ambulance.
Yeah, so not a cheap purchase. Got to be outfitted,
Yeah.
and there's a weight on all of this stuff as well, too. I mean, we've talked about getting fire apparatus, and you're like, get in line.
Yeah,
and get ready to pay.
I spoke with the ambulance manufacturer that we used in the past, and they're telling us now they're down to about just a little over a year. Obviously, during COVID and all those things, the biggest complication was chassis, and so you were pushing 3 years to get an ambulance.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge because it's not one of those, hey, this ambulance is broken, let's go down the street and get another one. It can take a while, and these aren't anything special. They're standard Ford chassis with a standard ambulance box. They're not custom in any stretch of the imagination, but it's just taking manufacturers that long to build them.
You have enough apparatus, but you could use more personnel. That's what it sounds like, at least to start with, if an EMS levy gets in place.
Yes, and that's it. We've had a staffing model combination, so we use volunteers and our full-time career staff. So we have enough ambulances in place. It's just a matter of we can have all the fanciest fire engines, all the fanciest ambulances, and all the fanciest equipment in the world, but if we don't have the people to use them, then they don't do any good. So part of all this, when we talk about fire stations, equipment, all that, and people, it's all tied together into one thing.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk. I want to go back. You mentioned about call volumes. You brought a few notes in here. I was just looking at them. That's an incredible amount of volume. I mean, it's just gone up and up and up and up every year. We talk about this quite often, but let's get kind of specifically more into those EMS calls and maybe the types of calls. Are you seeing more and more complicated calls, I guess, where it's way good thing you do have advanced life support.
Yeah, especially in the rural fire district where you're farther away from the hospital, having paramedics there to be able to provide that advanced level of care, it's critical to that. We do see a spike during the summer. And it's funny because it's not really funny, but District 2 is kind of uniquely positioned where it is. We surround the city of Port Angeles. So we border Fire District 4, we border Fire District 3, and we border the park. So we're kind of that agency that's in the middle there. So we provide services to national park areas as well, which can be during the summer, it spikes up. And they can be long drawn out. Just the other day, we got to use our brand new UTV for a trail rescue up on the Six-Pack area up off of Little River Road. So we were able to use the UTV that was purchased through a grant. It's a federal Title III grant. I can't remember the full title of it. It administered through Clallam County. So Clallam County administered that money, awarded us the grant, so we were able to purchase it. And so we're able to use it. But some of our calls can be long in nature, especially the size of our fire district. So.
Well, summertime, you're often out at Lake Crescent.
Yep.
And that's a long ways to go to get out to Deer Park if you had to go to the other side of the district, right? So I get it. I get it. Okay, so the ask, so this is going to go before voters in the primary ballot. Does it require a 60% yes?
It does, and that is one of the things with an EMS levy is since it's a brand new EMS levy, it requires what's called a supermajority. So we need at least 60% for it to be successful. So it's not a simple, like a fire levy is 50 plus 1. So as long as you get 50% plus one person, it passes. The EMS levy really needs at least 60% yes.
It's a tough time to be asking for money in any sense. I mean, and you admitted that to me walking in the studio right now. It's like, well, okay, but we're going to ask anyway.
Yeah, it's never a good time to ask for money and ask people to raise their taxes, and we're cognizant of that. And as like we discussed before, all those costs that are hitting the citizens, they're also hitting the fire district, the increase in fuel prices and all that stuff. And so it's never an easy ask to go to the public and say, hey, we need more money. One thing we're very proud of at Fire District 2 is our audits, our responsibility. We're very transparent. If anybody wants to know what our budget is, please give me a call, swing by, and I'll explain it to you. There's nothing to hide in our budget. And we have that advantage of being a fire district in that our single and sole purpose is the delivery of emergency care, medical care, fire services, stuff like that. I know sometimes it can get wrapped up in, we're not affiliated with Clallam County, nothing against Clallam County, but there's decisions made at a county level. There's decisions made at the city of Port Angeles. And there was one suggestion on Facebook that if everybody at the city of Port Angeles took a 2% pay cut, we could pay for this. I don't think the city's going to go for that since it's not us. But yeah, we are a separate entity that's not affiliated with all these other agencies, our sole purpose. And so when an EMS levy, there's no risk of that being funneled into some other program that may not be a higher priority for the voters.
All right. 50 cents per thousand of assessed valuation, 10-year period.
Yep.
That's the nuts and bolts of it.
Yes.
Goes August 4th? Yeah.
Yep, August 4th.
And that'll be on the ballot there as well. Maybe just before we wrap this up, just kind of the thought process, because the board certainly had to kind of, bless this was going to go forward again after the last attempt. And it was pretty close last time.
Yeah, we ended up at 53%. Yes. So the problem is that we have to do an honest assessment of what the fire district needs, and sometimes it's not an easy answer. And the not easy answer was we needed to increase our fire levy as well as an EMS levy. So we decided to run both of them at the same time. On the first go around, they both failed.
Yeah.
And so due to the critical nature that we needed to sustain our current level of operations, we decided just to take the EMS levy off the ballot a second time and run a fire levy, which is eventually passed. And that was able to allow us to keep our current staff and move forward with apparatus replacement and funding, because we were reaching that point where it was going to start to impact our operations. And so, yeah, this is going to be another attempt at the EMS levy, so that we can lock in that next big step that the fire district needs to take.
Do you have to wait a certain amount if it doesn't pass this time?
No.
Not like a school levy where you get so many shots in a 2-year period or whatever it is, and you have to regroup entirely. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look for that coming up if you live in Fire District 2, which is pretty much everything around Port Angeles, out to Lake Crescent to Deer Park Road area, and a little bit beyond that. You're going to see this on your ballot and ask for an EMS levy, something that's never happened in that fire district. And the only, as Jake Patterson pointed out, the only fire service that doesn't have one. Really here in the greater Port Angeles or Sequim area. All right, Jake, thanks for coming in as always.
Thanks for having me.
All right, he's the chief for Clallam 2 Fire Rescue. We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk with a local resident who recently rode all 10 ferry routes in one day. And why Mike Nolan wanted to do that, we'll find out right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Hi, it's Dan Shappy with Farmers Insurance. Ever call somewhere and get stuck in a phone maze so long you start questioning your life choices?
Press 1 to speak to a robot. Press 2 to be routed to the number 4 button. Press 3 to be disconnected inexplicably.
Yeah, we don't do that. We're right here in Port Angeles at 405 South Peabody Street. You need help? Just stop in. We'll look up, smile, and actually talk with you. Farmers Insurance, here when you need us.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Remember the early days of the internet? Yeah. Oli Penn was already there, laying the groundwork for what would become everything internet. Today, Oli Penn is still connecting the Olympic Peninsula to the world. But they're not stopping at blazing fast internet and rock-solid email. They're helping you see what matters most. With advanced security camera systems for your home or business, Oli Penn puts peace of mind right in your pocket. Check in anytime, anywhere from your smartphone. Across town, across the country, doesn't matter. You're always connected, always protected. With crystal clear HD and stunning 4K cameras and custom systems designed to fit your property perfectly, you'll never miss a moment. And the best part? Local, reliable service from people who live right here in your community. Oli Penn. Everything internet. Connecting the Olympic Peninsula to the world. Visit olipenn.com. Konp.com. Caring for a loved one takes heart and help. Dungeness Court Memory Care is there for you. Our adult day stay program offers a safe, nurturing environment with meals, engaging activities, caregiving support, and on-site nursing care. Day stay is available 7 days a week from 30 minutes to 10 hours with no minimum commitment for only $25 an hour. Care for your loved one. Peace of mind for you. Call 360-582-9309 to schedule a free assessment today.
Meet Jean. She calls Lavender Meadows in Sequim home. It's the kind of place where mornings feel unhurried, neighbors know your name, and life is meant to be enjoyed.
It's just the camaraderie. We have potlucks here, we have Thanksgiving here. I've made some very nice friends, and it's just a nice atmosphere.
Come home to Lavender Meadows in Sequim. Visit lavendermeadowsmhc.com to learn more.
Home affordability? Yes, it does exist here on the peninsula with Mountain View Homes. Looking for a quality craftsmanship home at 40% less than stick-built? Call Mountain View Homes. We specialize in affordable homes with full-service land packages, dirt to turnkey, quality, beautiful, and an efficient manufactured home on the site of your choice. Mountain View Homes has 3 locations to serve you, including Carlsberg. Visit mtviewhomes.com. That's mtviewhomes.com.
Can you ride all 10 Washington State ferry routes in one day? A local resident did that recently. We're going to talk about how Mike Nolan and his wife Ann did this feat when we come back right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Todd Ortloff now with a word for Olympic Peninsula title. They don't just have customers, they have raving fans. Yeah, for over 40 years, they've been earning the repeat business of their customers by treating them with respect, delivering what they promise, prioritizing the security of customers' funds and information, and always providing service with a smile. When it's time to choose a title company to close your transaction, opt for Olympic Peninsula Title and see for yourself why they've earned over 500 five-star reviews, and they've been voted best title company in Clallam County over and over again. Here to provide a little insight on the local real estate market is May Graves.
Thank you, Todd. There's certainly a lot going on in the real estate market, and some of it might surprise you. Home prices have been rising nationwide for more than a decade. This is called a seller's market, but currently the market is cooling off. What does that mean? It means less panic buying, less home sales falling apart. It means more time and room for negotiating. It means less liability for sellers when buyers aren't rushed. It means real estate services like home staging become essential. It means top quality professional photos and cinematic video are not optional, they are a must. Market conditions are shaped by multiple factors. Let's see what the spring market has in store. If you want more information, call me, May Graves, Real Estate Market Pros, 360-461-1922.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito has temporarily extended an order maintaining nationwide access to the widely used abortion pill mifepristone by mail and through telehealth visits for now. ABC's Devin Dwyer has more.
An administrative stay is simply a timeout, a freeze of the status quo to allow the justices both to decide what they're going to do and also to write something about it, to be able to explain it to us.
Mifepristone has been deemed safe by federal health scientists for decades. Due to the ongoing war with Iran, President Trump says he may support lifting the federal gas tax temporarily to help with soaring gas prices at the pump. It could reduce a gallon of regular by roughly 18 cents and just over 24 cents a gallon for diesel. The president calls Iran's latest response to a ceasefire deal weak. U.S. home sales remained flat in April, a time with sales picking up for the season typically. The lagging housing market struggling due to the economic uncertainty. This is ABC News.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. Daytime highs approaching 63 this afternoon under mainly sunny skies. Winds out of the east, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 48 tonight, partly cloudy skies. Daytime highs approaching 70 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Turning cooler Wednesday and Thursday with highs from the upper 50s to the low 60s. Scattered showers possible both days. Taking a look at the extended forecast, 57 Friday, 57 Saturday, and 60 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently 58.
All right, welcome back to the program. Imagine riding every ferry route in the state ferry system in one day. Well, my next guest is I've had on a couple of times before, former educator and also now in his life. I guess he's a ferry traveler and an author now, so retirement has got you busy and all sorts of other things, too. Mike Nolan is back. Hi, Mike. Good to see you again.
Todd. Thanks for having me on.
Last time we talked, it was somewhat about seafaring because we were talking about hard hat days and your days as a youngster going through the shipyard days. Yes. But this one is actually about riding ferries. And you had an article that came out in the Seattle Times last month that you wrote about this trip that you and your wife Ann put together. Now, this happened 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit. First of all, I got to ask, how did you come up with this idea?
You know, I was just looking at the ferry schedule, and you're probably familiar with the map they have. It's sort of a stylized map of all the routes. And you start looking at them and thinking about, well, this one we ride all the time, but this one I've never been on. And how many are there? And you start considering, I wonder if it's possible to travel on all these in one day. And we're both people that like puzzles, I guess, because you look at it and you think, okay, Puget Sound running north and south, basically, and a lot of the routes are perpendicular to that. They're crossing it. So, you know, Seattle, Bremerton, and Bainbridge Island, Seattle, Edmonds, Kingston, like that. And so you start, in your mind, you start thinking, yeah, you know, maybe we started at one end and worked our way either north to south or south to north, you know, worked all the way through it. I wonder if we could do it. And then you look at the schedule and you say, well, you know, the very last ferry that we would take would be, let's say, up in the San Juans, because that would be the longest one. Now, when's the last departure? And if we did that, we'd begin in the south, down there in Tacoma by Point Defiance. So when does that one begin? 5:05, it turns out. And so we put this together, and then you have to add in, of course, what's the driving time in between the ferries. I mean, and this is if it all comes off without a hitch, and we wrote it all out on paper, and we said, yeah, I think it's possible to do all these in one day. Of course, then you have to put it to the test, and Ann was game. She was going to be the co-pilot. I was going to drive, and I said, you just have to tell me when to turn and where to go, and because I'm just going to be driving. And we picked a day, I think it was a Friday, and we said, okay, we're going to do this. And Todd, we left the house at 2:30 in the morning so that we'd be there in time for the 5:05 at Point Defiance, and actually did really well. We were about halfway through. Let's see, we did Bremerton, and then Bainbridge coming back to Seattle. Then we were heading north on I-5, and this was all real familiar terrain. We knew about the exit for the Edmonds ferry, except this day there was construction going on, and as we were approaching, the thing is, I didn't want to. You can't go over the speed limit because that'd be cheating, you know. So, but you're not wasting any time either because you don't have any time to waste. So you're really going. And I said, okay, this is our exit. And I said, oh, well, look, there's construction going on. And we couldn't quite tell between the orange cones where you were supposed to turn until, oh, I missed it. And then all of a sudden we're north on I-5 again and doubling back. And like I said, it was a Friday, and by now it's Friday afternoon. So
oh my, yeah, it was starting to get a little rough
you know
out
how
there,
that
right?
can be with Edmonds, yeah. So we got on the next ferry, but that put us one behind. And I remember Ann taking out her phone and checking Port Townsend, which, again, on a weekend, you needed reservations because that was full up. And she said, you know, we're not going to be able to do it. We can't. We didn't make it. And I thought Ann would say, okay, we tried. We couldn't do it, even though I wanted to try again. But Ann really rose to the occasion. I think her competitive nature came out and said, well, I've got some ideas. We're going to do this on a Wednesday instead of a Friday.
So she'd already figured out that's how we're going to do this next time. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there we were. Next week we were back there. And again, you know, early morning start. Yeah. And this time we put it together, although there were still hurdles. Like I remember coming out of Fauntleroy. Well, let me back up a little bit. Some of these routes we did as foot passengers because when you were strategizing and looking at how can we do all these, you didn't want to backtrack if you could help it. But if you could be a foot passenger, like on that last route, it's a lot easier to be a foot passenger than to drive your car on, for the inter-island ferry up in the San Juans. Or Fauntleroy, that goes to Southworth and Vashon, then back to Fauntleroy. So if you could just do that as a foot passenger, then it saves you driving on and off quicker.
Right.
You take
and
that
you just
triangle.
take a little loop, and then you're back in your car.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So we had this all figured out, and the second time through, put it together. But still, you are sort of tense because you don't have a minute to spare. And I remember coming out of Fauntleroy and driving through that industrial section. Maybe you've been down there. You're trying to get to the West Seattle Bridge. And Todd, we did this both times. We made a mistake on this one interchange where it's supposed to be trucks only. And Ann said, "No, you did it again. You're on the wrong road. This is trucks only." And of course, there's a camera there. And 3 days later, we got a ticket in the mail.
Of course you did.
Yeah, trucks only. And we managed to drive down. Although we did make it to the ferry on time. Down there to Coleman Dock, and so it was a real adventure.
So you tried it once on a Friday, and the next Wednesday you were back out doing it again.
Yeah,
and that's the one that made it.
That's the one that I actually wrote about because this was all. I think in the Times, the editor put 10 routes, but actually it's 13 when you think of coming out of Anacortes. And you go Shaw Island and Lopez.
Right, because you could technically catch that ferry in different spots.
Yes. So
right.
I looked at them as all these different routes. And anyway, I thought of it as 13 routes. And I guess fortunately, that one line they've got going up to BC, that wasn't operating. So we didn't have to count that as one of our ferries that we were trying to do. Yeah,
I don't know if you could have done that.
No, I don't know. It was
such an odd schedule that one, and you got kind of like one shot at getting that one.
Exactly,
right,
yeah. So the second time through, we did put it all together. It was a mixture of this sort of intense driving, and then all of a sudden you're on the ferry, like the ferry to Bremerton. Now that ferry, that's an hour-long ride. And you can relax. You look around and you're looking at Mount Rainier. It's a beautiful day that day. You're looking at Rainier, or you're just when you're watching the ferry pull out, and it's sort of that iconic view of downtown Seattle, and then all of a sudden, okay, this is why we love living here. It's so pretty. Or that route, Edmonds Kingston. Gosh, it's so pretty. You get out there on the water, and you can see the Cascades over to one side, and the Olympics over on the other, and you're thinking, boy, we're lucky to live in just this beautiful little corner of the world.
By doing all these routes, though, I mean, you got to take a look at all of this scenery from a lot of angles that we normally don't see. I mean, we were talking before we went on the air. We're all familiar with Edmund Kingston and the Bainbridge Island Ferry and maybe the Port Townsend Ferry. Those are kind of the ones we do around here mostly. Maybe a Bremerton run once in a while.
Right.
But, we don't pop on to Mukilteo.
No, and we hadn't seen that new terminal at Mukilteo. And actually, when we were doing the ride, Ann would say, "Gosh, Fauntleroy, we should come back here sometime. This is a lovely neighborhood." Or we've never been, Point Defiance. Boy, this is really pretty. And so there were other places, or even places that we know of, and like Port Townsend. We ended up with, I think, about a 20-minute wait until we sailed. And it was the same thing, it's a lovely waterfront. You think we're going to come back here and spend some more time. So there was a lot of that in the.
What did you learn about? First of all, did you have a favorite boat? Out of all of them that were that day.
I think my favorite overall is that ride up in the San Juan Islands. Although this time when we were riding it, I think we boarded at something like 9 o'clock because it was the very last sailing, and so it was dark. But I know normally, when we're on that ride, gosh, I love all the little islands. A lot of them are uninhabited, and you look at the evergreens; they grow right down to the water's edge. And the main stops, the big islands, but there are all these other little islands you go by, and it's just lovely. I think that one, really is one of my favorite routes.
What time of year did you do this? Was this
about
summertime?
this time of year.
Okay, so spring.
Springtime.
So weather was just. Right.
Yeah. It was
and not a lot of tourists quite yet.
Not yet. Yeah, that helped too. And I should tell you one other thing, if I can add this, because I didn't put it in the story for the Times, but on that last leg, let's see, we had an hour-long drive up to Anacortes from the Seattle area, and so we knew we were going to make it. And for some reason during that drive, I became ill. And it was strange. I got real cold, and so much so that I had to stop and put on a sweater. And then we kept driving, and pretty soon my teeth are chattering, my hands are shaking. This was the strangest thing. I put on a jacket over the sweater, and Anne is saying, I don't know if we should get on the ferry. I don't know if there's an emergency room on some of these islands. I mean, I don't know if we should. And she's kind of desperate to get a solution, so she Googles, my husband is cold, and Google answers, then you probably need to work on your relationship and your intimacy, and you need to let your husband know that you really listen to him and you care about his thoughts. And Anne's pulling her hair out at that point.
way. Come on, yeah.
She calls her sister-in-law, who's a physician, and goes over the symptoms, and she says, "Okay, I don't think Mike's going to die. I think you're okay to ride on the ferry." And we pile on the Anacortes ferry. And I remember lying down on one of those bench seats, on the ferry, and Anne's taking all the jackets and putting them over me. So I'm like under a little igloo with my head sticking out. And Anne is doing laps on the ferry deck. She had started this in the morning. She said, I'm not going to get in my steps today, because we knew this would be an all-day thing. And she's
into that, right?
She's into that.
Yeah.
People like that. They check their steps every day, as Anne does, and she's so good about it. And so when we started at Point Defiance, she said, we've got 15 minutes here in the parking lot. I'm just going to get a couple laps. And then she kept doing this, and she's checking it on her watch. And by the time we were on that inter-island ferry in the San Juans, she said, I don't believe it. Look at this. I'm getting in. And she was up to 26 miles. She got 26.2 miles. She got a marathon in that day.
And while you were riding the ferries all over the state.
Either parking lots or mostly on ferry decks. And so that's what she did.
A couple of their long routes, so she's out there an hour plus. Yeah. Right.
And the very last one, she was doing laps, and she would look in on me. There I am under all the jackets, shivering. But yeah, we made that last one. I was able to walk off the ferry, and we just high-fived each other. We did it. I can't believe it. All in one day. I think we ended up there maybe 11:30. I know it was about a half hour before midnight, and we had completed it.
Okay, so it's almost midnight. You had started at 2 in the morning, though.
Yes, started at 2 in the morning at our house.
20-hour day, basically, of this as well. I'm fascinated that you figured out how to do a way where you could catch all these ferries. Pretty much you'd have to almost be going from one right onto the not much of a wait between them.
Yes, that's how it was until we headed up to Port Townsend. Then we knew we probably had it in the bag, unless we got a flat tire or a speeding ticket or something.
Right.
Yeah. So,
was there anything that you noticed different about, I guess, the vibe on cruise or anything on different ferries when you were on there?
Well, I think probably what we've seen.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think Port Townsend is more laid back. Certainly, when we got on that ferry at Point Defiance, where are you going to? Tahlequah, I think this is the connecting port. That's the first sailing. There were no other foot passengers, and there were only a handful of cars there. So, of course, you get to chat with the crew. And I told them what we were doing that day, and they said, hey, that's a great idea. Oh, I should try that, And they were real supportive and encouraging.
Did the state ferry system ever contact you after getting wind of this?
Not yet. We'll see.
Yeah, now that this article came out. Because I'm thinking you may become a ferry system ambassador. Just another thing for you to do in retirement.
There you go.
But there was, you probably white-knuckled it a few times trying to get from a couple of those, especially in the Central Sound area, right?
Yes, definitely. And you knew there wasn't a moment to lose. But at the same time, you didn't dare take a wrong turn. That's what sunk us on the first attempt. Because if you get one ferry out of the sequence, then, you can't do it.
So take us through the zigzag you had to have done when you've got the Seattle runs and then up, So you went up to Coleman Dock and caught a ferry there over to Bremerton, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that long ride to Bremerton, and then we drove up 3 and went to Bainbridge Island, and then we're back in Seattle, back to Coleman Dock.
Okay.
And then we head north and did that was the Edmonds-Kingston link. And then from there, it's like we were heading back home, except we went up to Port Townsend and, then went up to Whidbey Island. And so that's Port Townsend, Coupeville, and then down to Clinton and to that, we mentioned that, it's that lovely new terminal in Mukilteo.
Yeah, okay.
And
so that popped you back to I-5 eventually.
Then we're back on I-5 again, yeah.
Okay.
And, excuse me, by then we knew we're going to do this. We're going to make it. But, of course, then I, for some reason, got sick. We still can't figure out what I had or what caused that. But
it may have been pure exhaustion.
That and nerves, I think, because you don't usually, I mean, you might drive like that to one ferry. You know, we've all done that. And we're thinking, we're going to make it, we're going to make it. And you're either going to be, the very last, ferry on board or the very first, car not to get on board. So
now, this was also a little bit of a financial investment, right? Because that's, I mean, anybody that rides the ferry, it costs you, a passenger and driver and a car, driver and a passenger.
It did help that we're both retired and we had the senior rate on all of these ferries. Still, it was a little bit of an investment. It helped that too that 3 of the routes we were foot passengers, so we weren't taking the car. But yeah, I think I added it up. Once we finished, I don't know, 120, something like that.
Well, that's not too bad, I guess.
A little over $100. Well, that's a splurge for an adventure for a day. But it was just so unique, and again, so lovely because it was a nice day, and you're just reminded of all those places you enjoy around Puget Sound.
As you were planning this out, you never know what the weather's going to be.
No,
and so there's probably that's playing in the back of your mind. It's like, oh, it's just going to be a really rotten day out there.
Yeah, because you just look forward to, on the longer routes, getting out of the car and walking along the deck. And then, how all of a sudden you realize you've been tense that whole time driving, and you can sort of shed some of that, like a second skin you get to peel off. And fortunately, it was lovely weather, and we were able to do that.
Because it's risky on that Port Townsend run. That thing, if you have any little bit of wind,
that's right. Between wind and tides, there have been a couple times where they said, "Oh, it's not running because the tide's too low, and they can't, pony up to the dock like they need to." So yeah, everything was in our favor. All of the, we've all either had to wait for the Hood Canal Bridge to
there's another one,
let us through, or a ferry was running late. All the travel gods were smiling on us that day because all the ferries were running right on time and just seemed to be suited to our needs that day.
Would you do it again?
Oh gosh, in a heartbeat.
Really?
It
Okay.
was so much. Just because
now you know how to
fun.
do it. It might be. You could set up a tour. You can take people on a ride every ferry.
Oh yeah, gosh. On a nice day, it's it's just so much fun. It's lovely.
On those Seattle runs, on the Bainbridge run, was that during rush hour? Were you on there at a busy time or not?
Yeah, by then it was a little later in the day, and
okay.
But we had it again. We had it timed out. We didn't take any wrong turns. We took the wrong road and received a ticket for it, but we didn't take any wrong turns, and everything fell into place.
And you may have been going the right direction on the routes too, right?
That. Yeah,
you could reverse
true.
commuting essentially with some of those. I would imagine. So.
Exactly.
Well, I encourage people get to the Seattle Times, go onto their website. You can look this up and read this great article that Mike wrote about this adventure.
Thank you.
He's 13. I'm going to go with your number.
That's
13
right.
routes.
13 routes.
Washington State ferries. Because let's give you credit where credit's due. You had there were places that stopped, and those count.
That's right.
All in one day, and a chance to experience the entire system of the Washington State ferries. How about that?
It was fun.
Yeah.
Fun
All right.
time.
All right, Mike, I'll be waiting for the next adventure.
Okay, Todd, thanks
We'll get
so
you
much.
back for that.
Thanks for
Mike
having me
Nolan,
on.
Port Angeles resident here and an author, former educator as well, and always fun to chat with him. We're going to take a break and wrap things up on our show right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Have you ever clicked get a quote online and suddenly your phone acts like it owes someone money? 20 calls a day, numbers you've never seen, and not one of them local? I'm Dan Shappy with Farmers Insurance. If you're tired of mystery callers trying to sell you insurance, try something different. Talk directly to a real local agent who actually lives here. No robocalls, no strangers. We are real people helping real people right here at home.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Come together for the Wanda Fuca Festival, May 22nd through 24th, celebrating music, the arts, and community. Catch incredible and dynamic artists live on 5 stages over Memorial Day weekend in Port Angeles. Take in the free Artisan Street Fair, presented by North Olympic Healthcare Network. Handcrafted, wonderful wares from artisans, food vendors, and community partners. See you at the Juan de Fuca Festival, Memorial Day weekend. Go to jffa.org for complete details.
Do you know when your septic system was last inspected? Clallam County Environmental Health keeps those records and can tell you. Pumping your septic and complete septic inspections by licensed professionals are two very different things. State law requires inspections every 1 to 3 years, depending on the system you have. Get more information about your septic system and inspection requirements by calling Clallam County Environmental Health 360-417-2258 or by logging on to clallam.net/septic.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Hi, it's Callie here from the Heartland on the Truck Route. My family is proud to have been serving our community for 3 generations. If you're tackling a landscape project, rely on the Heartland for all the supplies you need to make your project shine. Rock, mulch, soil to sand, we've got you covered, and your yard too. The Heartline is your connection for high-quality Deca batteries as well. Cars, bikes, commercial, marine, and power sports. Stop by or give us a call at 452-3157. Rely on the Heartline, top of the truck route, Port Angeles.
Whether you're a homeowner, investor, or first-time buyer, understanding our market is essential. Here to provide a little insight on the local real estate market is May Graves.
Hi, May Graves here, realtor in the Sequim and Port Angeles area. How do realtors determine what buyers will potentially pay for your home? We use a variety of methods. One is called a CMA, or comparative market analysis, where we compare similar homes that were recently sold that are similar in age, size, location, and condition. We also consider things like seasonality and supply and demand. If your neighborhood usually sells 2 to 3 homes per month and there are 10 on the market, you can see how prices may have to come down. The opposite is true. If your neighborhood typically sells 2 to 3 homes per month and there are none on the market, you're in a great position to sell for top dollar in a hurry. If you want more information, call me, May Graves, 360-461-1922.
Hey everybody, Todd here at Price Ford. And backed by popular demand, Ford has come out with the employee pricing for everyone. And I'm not talking about what I would pay as an employee. I'm talking about what the corporate employees pay. You can't buy a new Ford for less money. This offer covers almost every vehicle in the Ford lineup. So if you're in the market for a new Ford, hurry down to Price Ford right on Highway 101, right next to Walmart in Port Angeles, and we'll have a vehicle waiting for you.
Losing a loved one is overwhelming. Your mind and your heart shut down. That's where Drennan & Ford Funeral Home and Crematory comes in. They took the burden off my family's shoulders and guided us through everything we needed to do. No pushy sales tactics or unanswered questions. They just held our hands and took care of everything we asked. That's why I will always recommend Drennan & Ford for end-of-life decisions. They handle the hurt like no one else can. Call 360-457-1210.
Hi, I'm Dr. Calvin Quo. I'm a primary care physician at Olympic Medical Center. You've likely heard a lot lately about GLP-1 medications for chronic disease and weight loss, but are they right for you? Join me for a free presentation on Thursday, May 21st at 5:30 p.m. in the Seasons Cafe at Olympic Memorial Hospital. We'll discuss how these medications work, potential side effects, and what to ask your doctor. Learn more about the presentation at olympicmedical.org/events. I hope to see you there.
Building a future, sharing a dream, working together, we're on the same team.
At Straight View Credit Union, we know that buying a home is a big decision, and that's why we're committed to offering local decisions made by local decision makers. Our mortgage team is comprised of experienced professionals who are intimately familiar with the Clallam County housing market, ensuring that you get the personalized attention and expertise you deserve. We're here to help you navigate the home buying process and make the best decisions for your unique financial situation. Plus, as a member-owned cooperative, we prioritize the needs of our members and our local community over profits. That's why we're proud to offer great mortgage rates that help support our members' dreams of homeownership. Straight View Credit Union, your trusted local financial partner. Visit us online at svcu.com or stop by our branch on Lincoln Street in PA. Insured by NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
The North Olympic Peninsula's news station, News Radio KONP Port Angeles Sequim, AM 1450, FM 101.7 and 101.3, a Radio Pacific station.
from ABC News. I'm Lindsay Davis, anchor Prime, streaming weeknights on ABC News Live. The fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran faces new challenges. President Trump says the ceasefire is on life support after he rejected Iran's response to a U.S. memo to end the war and set up a 30-day negotiation period. The president says his goals remain the same.
But I have a plan. It's a very simple plan. I don't know why you don't say it like it is. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
ABC's Tom Sufi Burge has more on the sticking points.
The future status of Iran's nuclear program, not just the stocks of enriched uranium which remain in Iran and are thought to be buried deep underground, but also Iran's ability to enrich uranium going forward. And we've had a statement from a senior Iranian official today via state media saying enrichment is not negotiable. And what they mean by that is that Iran won't give up its right to enrich uranium for what it says are civilian purposes.
Gas prices remain at four-year highs. The president says he may implement a temporary federal gas tax holiday to ease the pain at the pump. Efforts to monitor the hantavirus outbreak on board a Dutch cruise ship continue in several countries, including the U.S., after passengers were evacuated. 17 Americans and one British national were flown to medical centers in both Nebraska and Georgia. ABC's Steve Osinsami is outside Emory University Hospital in Atlanta.
2 of those patients were flown here to Atlanta because they are trying to relieve any potential pressure on the facility in Nebraska. The concerns is that if another one of those patients had tested positive in Nebraska, they would have limited facilities to handle this over there, so they're sending some of those patients here for relief.
Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito has extended a stay in a mifepristone case, allowing access to the key abortion drug for now. The drug has been deemed safe by FDA scientists and available to women for decades by mail and telehealth visits. You're listening to ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter.